Welcome everybody to another Kraken Cast podcast where we get to know content creators, artists, game devs, and everybody in between. Today we're going to be joined by NineTales Fox and MrsNineTales, a Twitch streaming power couple, part of the ESO stream team, partners. For those of you who've been around the podcast for a while, or those of you who want to look back on a past episode from season 2, we've actually had both of them on before, but that was before being part of the ESO stream team, before their growth, before getting partners. So when we originally talked to them, we talked a lot about setting goals, what their aspirations were, and now it's going to be kind of fun to catch up, see what's going on now that they hit those, like a lot of those initial milestones. So love to have these podcasts where we get a chance to catch up, be a little more conversational. So without further ado, welcome again to the podcast, NineTales Fox and MrsNineTales.
Hello, everyone. How are you, Octavian? How are things?
Things are well. Really happy to be back in action and doing the podcast again. Really happy to have both of you on. Number of things, so obviously mentioned in the intro there, I want to talk about. But I think where I would kind of want to start is just a little bit of a just kind of catch up. Let people know who might not have caught that first podcast, might not know you, a little bit about your channel, because they don't have different channels. They actually stream together on the same channel, so they co-stream. So kind of talk a little bit for people who might not know you about what you do.
Yeah, NineTales, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So we are, as Octavian said, as you said, we basically are a husband-wife streaming team that stream together. Our big focus is, other than ESO, which we stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, is basically our big focus is what we like to call our end game, is helping new players and helping returning players and anyone at all who wants to join our little Fox Den is find what they love about the game and learn the game and go through and just have a really great time doing it. That is what we find as an end game for us, and that's what we enjoy doing. So that's what we promote. We promote a lot of education, question answering. The Mrs. has her official, unofficial recaps, where she will we go over all the patch notes when chat lets her. Other than that, yeah, we run new player trials, basically what we call trial 101s, where anyone, regardless of level or experience, can come in. We run those Wednesday, Friday alternating, and then the opposite day we run a gear farm, just normal trials, again, really to help people get over the hump of how intimidating trials can be. And we just want to show that it's like trials are really just 12-person dungeons.
That's really, really amazing. That's awesome. And I think that's a unique focus. Obviously, a lot of streamers focus on education in various ways, but not to the extent that I feel like both of you do. And I think that's really cool, because when we first talked, you had a number of experienced people that, also helped with the guild and the things you did like that. But now you've been streaming long enough, your community's been built up bigger, and something I really want to talk about and see how you feel about it, because I feel it's got to be a really amazing thing. A lot of the people who were new, who found you when they were newer, when they were learning, have become teachers. Like some of them even come on things I've done with my community, and they're like, oh, I learned this over doing this with the Fox Den. So how cool is it to have people that you helped out grow into the roles where they themselves can also be teachers?
Yeah, it's not to sound like condescending or anything, but it's like that proud parent moment. It's finding people who are just like, what's a crafting writ? And that have now become experts in their own little corner of the universe. We always tell everybody that, we know a little bit about a lot. Our knowledge doesn't run super deep in everything. So, we have watched so many people grow, not only as players, but as people. I think that's the best part of it, that, become experts in their little corner of the ESO universe and, pass it on. We expected when we started this guild about less than 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago, we expected to have a high turnover rate with our guild. And it was a, learn, grow, find what you really want to do for your end game, and then, leave the nest and, move on to those, those next level guilds for yourself. And it's been really awesome for people to be like, oh God, I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is the one guild I'll stay in. Yeah, I'll find my trial guilds and I'll find, my trading guilds and I'll find that end game content for myself. But I could never leave here. Like, this is where I grew up. It's your hometown kind of, feeling. And to watch those people, just become these little, again, these experts in their field that now pass on that knowledge to the next new crop of players that come through. It's such a fulfilling thing to see, and again, it gives you the warm and fuzzies, and it's that proud mom moment for me to be like, oh, you've grown up so fast. But it really is an awesome feeling.
That is really, really cool. And it's, again, the proud parents, I feel like that it's definitely an apt description. And then in addition to, like, obviously talking about the guild growing and the people that came with you and grew with you, what I kind of want to talk about is obviously the channel started back in June, July of 2020. You had some growth throughout 2021, and then you really started like picking up in June of 2021, a year later. And then you've had a really solid rise, like October, in these kind of like winter months. Your average viewership's been going up and up and up. And obviously we have highs, we have lows, we have plateaus. But I kind of want to talk about it because last time we talked, partner was something that was a goal. It was in the future, but you didn't know how far in the future it was. I want to say your average viewership around then, looking at the month, was maybe like 50, maybe 60, getting close, but not quite over the hump. So I'm just kind of curious, what was it like going through going through, like, I shouldn't say push, but going through that, like, being able to apply, getting that partnership, and just really there through the winter months and over into the new year, being able to like become partners and take your channel to that next stage.
Yeah, Nine, if you want to answer this one.
So, like, like a lot of streamers, like I said, it's one of those things where, like, when you first start out, you make affiliate, like, yeah, all right, now I'm gonna like look at partner. Oh, I gotta hit 1,000 followers. I gotta, make stream team, and like you have all these goals set, and I believe you actually said it at one point where you set like short-term and long-term goals for yourself, throughout the year as you go. At the beginning of the year, quarterly, however you do it, is partner was like our like long-term goal, right? It's like, okay, cool, like partner would be nice, but like we hit the 1,000, let's keep working for like stream team and kind of see where that goes from there. Maybe that'll help put us over the edge. And we're watching like our numbers rise, and like, so we have a very large, the ESO community is a very large and involved community with each other, and when they see people getting close and getting there, they're like, oh yeah, let's rally behind this. And we're like, us? Why would you rally behind? Like, not that we're not to sound pretentious, like, not that we're not great, but it's like our big thing has always been like organic growth. Like, we've never been one to go and be like, hey, we're doing a partner push, come and follow us, come and hang out with us, help us get over that, and then we'll see you when we see you. So we're always like, hey, we want to build naturally and slowly, and have all our friends and our new ESO fam and everyone who wants to hang out with us. And once we started getting there and we started looking, we're like, oh wow, we're actually close. Like, this is actually something that could happen. It almost snuck up on us because we do look at our numbers nightly after each stream. I say nightly after each stream to like kind of see like where we're at, how we did, kind of like review, kind of like, okay, what worked, what didn't. And we're watching it and we're like, because you see the path to partner over there on the dashboard.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, this, and like, oh wow, it's like that's the only thing holding us back. And we're like 70, we're at 71, we're averaging 72. It's like, oh wow, this is actually a thing. And I know the Mrs. turns her numbers, her viewership numbers off. I leave mine on for different reasons, different like stream raters and different things that we have going on, so I can see them. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh wow, we're like sitting above the average. We're sitting well above the average. And like, oh wow, it's like this could actually happen. And it's like one of those things. And like I said, once we hit that 75, we're like, you know what? We agonized. We agonized a couple weeks over like what exactly we were gonna write. So like, and with full well with the understanding that the first time application is usually denied. We're like, hey, cool, we get it. Far better people than us in a sense, have been denied the first time, the second time, the third time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just expecting that, but let's write our little hearts out and see kind of where it goes, because that's the first step. Because hopefully they would be like, hey, we denied you, but here's what we're looking for. And that's a lot of what was coming with that. So we're like, cool, awesome. And when that letter came through, I can actually tell you the story of this. I was the missus was upstairs. She was running with Yicky, a friend of ours, Yicky, on their stream.
I was Randy. It was Randy.
Oh, it was Randy. You're running with Randy.
Yeah, I was trying to coach him through Arena. I was trying to coach him through the Arena.
Yeah, Maelstrom, yeah. And I was like downstairs, and I forget what I was doing. I was doing just like some other stuff, like a different game or what have you, just like tightening things up. And I get this email, and I'm like, oh, cool, hey, awesome. And I'm like, oh, this must be just like, hey, because Twitch being Twitch, they're just like gonna send me a letter being like, hey, thank you for applying for partner. I'm like, cool, I'm just seeing it now, cool. And I'm like, maybe I'm probably just hyping myself up. I go over to my channel, and I look at the name, and I'm like, there's a little check mark there, and I'm like, no, that's always been there. That is a fluke. They're going to redact this. Someone messed up at the admin office. And I look in the email, and it's like, hey, congratulations, you've made partner. And I was in such a state of disbelief that I run upstairs and interrupt her, like, hey, we got it. And she's like, we got what? And I'm like, we got partner. I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm like all like frazzled, and I'm like in disbelief. And
that was the world's worst tweet you ever tweeted out.
I know,
the grammar on it, the spelling was terrible.
It's like I was sitting there all shaky, like, how many letters do I have? I'm trying to type out a tweet, like, oh my god, I'm just super excited. It was like the most unprofessional tweet ever. It's like, I just got straight A's on my report card in grade school, and I'm sitting there. It's like, oh my god, I can go out and play with everyone this weekend. Like, it was such a bad tweet.
That's not awesome. That's a really amazing story. It's a really funny story. And I think that's really awesome, because when we talked last, we actually did our podcast right before I had gotten partnered. So where you were going through what you went through, I kind of gone through that same thing, but a tad bit earlier. So I understand what it's like to be on the cusp, have the numbers there, and then, have to fight the urge, because you're checking your numbers, you're checking your analytics. We've talked last time. You can go back and listen to the other podcasts if it's your first introduction to Ninetail Fox and MrsNineTales, about being organic about their growth, like Ninetail Fox just mentioned, but also like Twitch puts it in your face: path to partner, application for partner, and it's just all these numbers. And for me, it was a hard fight, and to continue to try to grow my channel the same way without putting the added pressure. So it's kind of cool to hear how you went through that, how you were able to kind of stay grounded even through that process, because it's in your face. The numbers are there. They're staring you in the face. They're almost screaming at you.
Yep. Absolutely.
And for me, I had a lot of apply, fail, because your growth was really organic. If you look at like a Twitch tracker and stuff, where you were growing month after month after month, where I had a spike. So I think for me, I got delayed a number of times because they were just trying to make sure I wasn't spiking up and spiking back down. Whereas I think it was easier probably for them just taking kind of a guess at it to go, oh, this is a steady growth, which is, I think, what Twitch wants to see more than big numbers is that trending growth that you had.
Yeah, they definitely made a comment on that. So one of the things we got to do when we made partners, they were kind of piloting this program. It was we were assigned someone for the first 30 days of being partner, and it was like, hey, here's a link to my calendar. You can schedule half-hour meetings as often as you want within that 30 days to ask your questions, connect, understand what's going on. There's a lot, of things going on when you jump into being a partner. Then they start hitting you with all these emails, and it's like, oh my God, this is really overwhelming. And so we got to go through the little pilot program, and the guy had pulled up our stats to kind of learn a little bit about us. And he was just like, wow. He's like, the growth, he says, it's so steady. And it was the comment that he made that definitely, I feel like you're 100% correct in that, Locke. It was, that's what he's just like, yeah, you've just grown very steadily, and it's been an upward trend for you guys. So I definitely think for anybody that maybe looking at that partner cusp right now, I definitely think, Locke, you hit the nail on the head. They went out of their way to make that comment that steady growth was something they noticed, and he was very impressed by. So
that's awesome. This is the first I'm hearing about the partner changes they make, because they said they're making onboarding for partners and what they looked at a little less automated, and their automations look at a little more things. So I didn't have any of that.
Yep.
I had been denied a number of times, so they did something they rarely do, where I was in the middle of a stream. They popped in. I thought I was getting bot attacked by the number of people who came in with, and I didn't know what a wrench next to a person's name meant. It means Twitch staff, by the way. If you're ever streaming, you see a wrench, that's Twitch staff. And partner me on stream. So it was, but afterwards I didn't have any of the onboarding stuff. So it's really cool. I think that's a lot better of an experience, because I was definitely got partner. I'm like, cool. What
do I do now?
Do have some, but so that's real cool. But I just wanted to call out, because the steady growth I think is really excellent. Like, a lot of people look for spikes and think that these huge spikes are good, but I think ultimately the health of your channel, and that's NineTales Fox talking about going towards partnering. You'd mentioned it, it's been mentioned a lot. It's that by growing organically, focusing on your community and focusing on your content, at least this is how I feel, and you can tell me how you feel about it, is better than like partner pushes and getting too wrapped up in like doing giant things to get more people in. Because once you're a partner, if all you did is focus on the push, there's so many people that either burn out, or because that was such a focus of the content, the number just dips off. Whereas your growth continued to kind of organically continue shifting, so that, because the check mark is a milestone, ultimately it opens doors, it's a great goal, but if you put everything into getting the check mark like an end game, then there's not much to do. So I just wanted to call that out and see what your feelings are on that, because to me, I think your path is really great, because you've just been able to continue that trend past getting partner.
Yeah, Nine, if you want to.
No, absolutely. And like I said, it's like I totally agree. Like, that Twitch is looking that you have that upwards momentum, that you're not just going to be like a flash in the pan. Great, cool, you got partner, and all your numbers are going to dip back off. And definitely within that, like I said, so we were focusing on that, and I agree that a lot of times having that organic community coming in is definitely an aspect, and with that, it kind of helps you as a streamer kind of shape, kind of like, oh cool, hey, now we've got these new people in, they're going to help you grow, they're going to kind of help you figure out where you want to take your stream, if you want to change it up at all, or in a sense, it almost helps you like almost solidify in a case some of what you're already doing. Like, hey, I've got this continued growth. People are talking about us. People are coming in being like, hey, so and so, I was here and I wanted to come check it out and I really enjoy it. And it's that people are really enjoying you aspect of it. And like I said, because we all remember our first time streaming. If we all remember our first time streaming, when it's just, you, yourself, and I just chilling in there, and you're like, am I doing it right? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Because let's be honest, we all get into thinking traps. And I think having that, natural growth is looking at the metrics, while you shouldn't necessarily rely on them, so heavily. I think being able to see like that upward trending is definitely beneficial, and it definitely makes you feel better knowing that there is a steady trend, especially when people are coming in and being like, hey, I came for the giveaway, stayed for the personality type of thing. To be very candid about it.
I think a good way to think about it, and something that comes to mind for me, is it's the little kid that bullies everybody to get the ball, and it's like, hey, I have the ball now, let's play. And nobody wants to play. And, so you kind of, you really push on your community. Like, I need your help. I need your help. I need your help. I'm going to get that check mark. We're going to get that check mark. We're going to do it. And you push and you push and you push. And sometimes it it might not be as quick to get there. That push may be still a long push. You really don't know sometimes. And so it's just like, okay, I got my check mark. Now where is everybody? Let's play. And everybody's like, I need a break. Like
Right.
I need to relax. So that's kind of what it feels like to me is again, well, yeah, we did post the tweet. We're just like, hey guys, like this is a real thing for us. Here's our schedule. Here's us. We'd love for y'all to come out. It's something we're really excited about, but we weren't constantly like, partner push, and like really kind of cramming it down our community's throats, because again, we didn't want to burn people out. And on the other side of it, well, yes, there's a lot of opportunity that comes with that check mark, but I always want to put my community first. So if, I'm going to go and burn them out, and I'm going to, stress them out and give them the anxiety I have trying to get to partner. Cause trust me, I can't tell you how many nights I just, my anxiety, like I'd break out in like hives, cause I was like so stressed out and so nervous. It was so bad. Like that's me. I'm a worrywart, but like I didn't want to put that on anybody else. So it's trying to find that balance. Like, yeah, you want to rally people, and that's awesome, but you push too much, and it can be really stressful in the community. So
No, that's exactly right. I feel, because I did the same thing. I would say in my announcement messages in Discord, I would mention it. I would say, hey, this is a thing. I would share it with it, but it wouldn't be like, you have to be there, because I think that's the other thing you can lose sight of with your community. And you nailed it on the head, which is thinking about your community. It's not just the streamers that can burn out. If your entire focus is on partner push, getting numbers, partner push, numbers, and your community's there for it, they could burn out too. And so I think that's a really good approach, is being able to, like you said, the balancing act of like, you're stressing. I mean, there's no way a person, unless you're like one of the most like cool people in the world, are not going to stress a bit knowing like it's close to Christmas, right? It's right there. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, partners, this long-term goal. It's another thing to be like, oh, it's right there, but you don't want to, like you said, put those anxieties on people. You want it to be Christmas when it happens.
Yeah.
You want everybody to celebrate, not everybody to be like, oh, I'm almost hungover from the process here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's over. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Who was it? I think Jumbo, and this can correct me if I'm wrong, had done a tweet about it, where if you're constantly worried about or pushing for like growth, and like, if in this case we're going to reuse it to target partnership, and if you're always like focus on that, eventually your community is going to read that. They're going to like rally behind you. Cool. Awesome. But they're going to realize that you might not necessarily show them the same love and affection along the way if you're just constantly hammering like, this is what I want right now. And it makes, I mean, personally, I look at it, it's almost like you don't care about them. We know people care about their communities. But again, it's one of those things where it almost seems like if you're just constantly like, hey guys, do this for me. It's like, it's about the people who are there already.
You want to share in things with your community, and again, that's part of the balancing act I find.
Yep.
Is you do so much as a streamer alone. You have your community, but off stream, planning streams, planning this, doing this, that. You have to wear so many hats. It can be easy to like start looking at, again, what I say is start looking at the analytics, which are important, but start looking at numbers. The last thing you want to do is be like a greedy business owner who looks at your community as just numbers on the the chart. And so I think it's really good. I like hearing that. I think it could benefit a lot of people to think of it in that way, because it's exciting, but you don't want to make your community kind of feel that. Like you said, it's going to come through in the stream. You want it, so I think that's really good. I love to hear that. And it's something you mentioned earlier. Two things, but I'm going to touch on one real quick. Is the come for the giveaway, stay for the people. I think that's really kind of important to point out, because I want to talk a bit about focusing on content, finding your voice, your style, right? Obviously, you started very educationally and you've kept that, but obviously you also expand and grow. But being able to focus on your content so that, if people come in for the giveaway and they hang out for a bit, or they come in with a raid, or they come in because of a shout out, or maybe they just see you in the directory, the giveaway might bring them in, but again, they stay for the people. So maybe you can talk a little bit about focusing on your content, kind of developing your voice and style, because while you've always been educationally focused, your voice from the last time we had talked on the podcast till now has definitely grown, and you've like really kind of shaped your brand a lot and like found an even stronger voice, I feel.
Yeah. So, like you said, our big draw has always been educational. Like, let's learn the game together. It's a massive game. It can be intimidating. So let's do it together. It's going to be an awesome journey, and build that community and find your people. Finding your people is important. But I think one of the biggest things we found, and for those of you that have been with us, on our journey for the long haul, know that our stream has morphed in terms of, who it involved, if you will. So, originally it started out, this was Nine stream. I was the mod. I was the wife cheering on from the stands, trying to keep chat going when it was just me in there. And, I'm always going to sit in the stands and cheer them on. And then I became the disembodied voice that would occasionally pop into Discord and read like patch notes or give people updates on what was happening in the game. And I think we actually just talked about this in stream the other night, but we got a lot of feedback from the community, like, when's MrsNineTales going to show up? When are we going to see your face? When are you going to be part of this? And I'm like, no, I am extremely an introvert. Like, I do not want to be seen. Please don't look at me. My wedding was the most horrifying day of my life. Because people were going to look at me and I was going to be the center of attention, and that was like devastating. So I was like, no, I'm never going to do that. Like, I appreciate it. I appreciate you want to see me, but no. And then everybody kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and we finally did a community challenge. However many, 100,000 points.
I put a lot of points into that.
I know. we had
every day I popped in and put another 2K in.
Yep. There were some people that were like, I'm at work, but I have to spend my points. Like, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm like in the bathroom on my lunch break right now. And people were like, and they made sure they got that to have a MrsNineTales stream. So I sat in Ninetales chair and it was just me. And that was the most horrifying experience ever. My voice was shaking the entire time. My hands are shaking. I'm like, this is horrible. I don't know why anybody would do this. And I had a lot of amazing people in there, but I distinctly remember Flample, Actual Bananas. I've probably seen him around the community. Who was just like, it's okay, Mrs. You're fine. You're doing great. And Flip was being my biggest cheerleader that night. And I thank God for chat, because they were amazing. And they're just like, you're doing all right. You're doing good. And then, Nine and I talked about it, and, we're just like, this is the community wants both of us, because as soon as we were ending, they're like, okay, when MrsNineTales next? And the community this is what they wanted. And for anybody who hangs out in our stream knows the community always gets what they want. And, chat runs the stream, let's be honest. But we had talked about it, and we're like, all right, what if we made this about us? And, that's when we kind of introduced, and it's been just about a year. We started around our first anniversary is when we're like, okay, guys, we're going to make this an us stream. This journey's always been about us. Now let's make it about us. And we've always been partners in crime. So it was just kind of solidifying that. So I think it was about a year ago when we really kind of found out who we, wanted to be in the community. While yes, education was always our thing, one of the biggest unique things about us and our stream is it's always been about us. We've always been in partnership. We've always been a team running things. So it was, like I said, about a year ago now that we started doing this, streaming truly together. And we've really, built our relationship, and everybody knows we have a lot of fun on stream that pops in, and, there's Nerf blasters, and there's dad jokes, and, all of this stuff. And our stream has, become very much about our relationship and our dynamic, and the witty banter and the teasing and all of that we do as a married couple. And that's, I think, really where we found our brand. While yeah, everybody does ESO, everybody has their corner of the ESO universe, what's kind of made our brand us has been our dynamic as, you know, a husband and wife team, as one that pokes fun at one another, and, you know, we have a sense of humor, and we bicker and we banter, and we have a lot of fun. So I think that is really what, you know, that long journey to find who we are. I think that's when we found that, and that was about the time that our growth really started to take off, and you know, the community really fell in love with the dynamic we had and who we ended up being. So
Yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a perfect segue, because I was actually going to bring up is being a streamer, again, finding your voice, finding your brand. It can take a while, finding the thing that makes you uniquely you, and be able to like break free of, because we all start out as looking at other streamers, looking at other things, and finding little differences, but it takes us a while, and it can take a long while, a short while, but to kind of find like, okay, how do I put my spin on this? And yeah, the initial growth phase from June of 2020 to about October 2020, that was like the 6 to 12 if you look at metrics. And then the channel itself was sitting there between like 20 to 30. And then you mentioned, yeah, when you joined the stream there, and if you look at that's about the same numbers. And then the next month's the same, but then after May, that's when you start seeing that growth. There's a little bit of a plateau, and it just kind of goes up and up. So like you mentioned, finding your voice, figuring out that this works better as a couple, and realizing that's another element. It's not just the teaching, it's also, you know, the dynamic that you have as a couple, and that aspect of your life to stream. So I think, yeah, you obviously, that worked really well for you. Not saying that everybody who wants to be a bigger streamer should find a partner to stream with, but it is a very good example of like, that was, you can look in metrics, and like, because coming from an analytical field, you look at 3 months, 4 months, 90 to 120 days. But when you can go back and look at metrics, you can really see that what you just said is correlated by those analytics. That was really a kind of a turning point.
yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And so one more thing before I get into a few other topics that I wanted to bring up, because you did have two major goals when we last talked: partner and ESO stream team. And you also recently were part of the class that joined the most recent grouping of people on the ESO stream team. So what was it like to we all put in our applications when we can. You get to 1,000 followers, but Gina and the team looks at a lot of different things based on the types of content, the community, all the things that they need filled. So what was it like after having applied to kind of get that message back saying, okay, next class, we're going to have you, I call it class, they don't call it that, but I consider it kind of like a graduating class. You're going to be part of the next group. Keep it a secret from everybody for like 3 weeks if you could. But what was it like to get that message? Also, you talked about that excitement, Nine read the email. I had to rush up to you. What was it like getting that email, the ESO stream team email saying, hey, we're going to bring you onto the team if you want to be part of it?
So I'll start by saying that same with like partner or anything else is the anticipation building up to getting your acceptance or denial. It's like, but that anticipation every night the missus is like, we didn't get an email today. I'm like, good. They haven't announced anything. We still haven't got any, but we didn't get a letter. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Every night, she was eagerly anticipating something to let us know kind of like where we fell, and it was absolutely wonderful when it actually came through. We're like, excuse me.
Oh, no problem.
I'm all choked up.
Yeah, so I was actually the first one to see it.
A reversal.
Yeah, I was the first one to see it, and I was so mad at my phone. I have never been so mad at an inanimate object before. And because I had just gotten this phone, so I'm trying to like learn it, and it's learning me and all of that stuff. And for whatever reason, my phone, I have 16 email accounts that come to my phone every day. This was the one email that didn't refresh until the next morning. I woke up, and of course, because I'm addicted to my phone, I'll fully admit it, as soon as I open my eyes, I pull out my phone and I check everything. It's my Discord, my social media, my emails, and everything. And I saw Gina's name in my inbox, and I turned to Nine. I'm like, it's here. it's here. And he's like, what? Because he's like still half asleep. And I'm like, it's here. Gina emailed us. And he's like, okay. And he's still trying to process this because I literally just like wake him up. But it was really exciting. And that's what he said. He doesn't show emotion like I do. But like I said, I think most of it was just the fact that he was just trying to wake up, and I just totally like attacked him, laying there. But it was so exciting. You know, it's you work so hard towards something and something that means so much to you that, you know, finally for someone to say, we see you, we hear you, and we think you're going to be great too. It's a moment of validation. It's a big moment of validation for somebody else to say, we also believe in you. Because, you know, sometimes believing in yourself only goes so far, but to really feel that from somebody else to say, yes, we hear you, we see you, you're the one. That's a huge moment that, you know, just, it you know, it gives you something. It gives you that, you know, breath of life to be like, what I'm doing is working and who I am is perfect, and the stars aligned, and here we are. So, and
I think it was like a late birthday present.
It was a couple days. Yeah, it was a couple days after your birthday.
I'm like, I kept telling her, it's like, Gina could have sent that email like a few days earlier.
Right.
And we all know and love Gina. We all know and love Gina. So
an incredible woman that works so hard.
She does. And I'll say this, and not to get off topic. I mean, I'm going to get off topic.
Oh, no, get off topic. It's the Kraken Cast podcast, and the host. I'm an octopus because we're going in 8 directions at any time. So go as off topic as you want to go.
So all right. So the ESO community, we have Gina, we have Jess, and we have Adana. And I know that's not her real name, but I only know her as Adana.
Mimi.
Yeah. I know her as Adana too, back when she worked at Alienware before she joined the ZeniMax crew. Yeah.
Right. Yep. And so we have these community managers that do so much for us. Like I said, specifically Gina. We all know Gina. And they do so much for us. And we recently, this past weekend, were at PAX. And going to PAX, you go and you're like, oh, hey, how are you? You know, I'm, you know, so-and-so with Twitch and all that. You know, can I speak to your community manager? You know, I want to talk about like partnerships or something like that. I want to like learn more about it, you know, from my perspective, to see what I can bring to my stream, my community. And they're like, okay, yeah, cool. It's like, community manager, how's it going? And they're like, oh, no, you want to talk to our stream manager? I'm like, wait, what? There's 2 different things? I'm like, and that was... And I said, you don't realize how much Gina does is all encompassing as a community manager until you start talking to these like other companies that have it broken up, you know, almost like micromanaged to an extent. And these are small companies, big companies, and it's just very I'm trying to think, gratifying to know and see how much Gina does, not just for the streamers and on the team, but also for the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's really unique, because when I had Gina on the podcast and talking to Gina, being able to develop that role, because she's a very early addition to the team, so develop that role allowed her, I think, to develop in a way where other companies, so usually companies have a community manager, and then they realize, oh, we should probably be getting into the streaming space, we should be getting into the content creation space, let's hire somebody to do that, because the person we brought on, that wasn't part of their original job description. So I know I've experienced that too, where a lot of companies have a division there, whereas like Gina's a very hands-on, very active in the community, for better or worse, because that does make people feel like they come at her, but she's always been like really active on the forums and things like that. Something I wanted to kind of talk about, because you mentioned your community and things like that, because I know there's a lot of people who are, you know, watching live, will watch this later on YouTube or listen on Spotify and things like that. Is the ESO stream team is a bit unique also, talking about Gina, but and what they look for, because a lot of times I've found as I've grown, the companies that want to work with me, I hit a certain number threshold, they look at everybody that applied, they take the top chunk that has the Twitter numbers or the Twitch numbers, you know, whatever number they're looking for, and then they just go, okay, those are the bigger ones, we'll go there. Whereas you can tell that Gina, Jess, Adana and them spend a lot of time looking at the pieces, because they will add people to the team who are partners, they'll add people to the team who have an average viewership of 20. It's really, you can tell, curated based on involvement in the community. And I know that's a huge focus because Matty Gone had told me something when I was trying to get on the stream team, and when he was on the podcast saying, "Oh, I was a pest," and I'd already been talking to Gina because she'd been on the podcast, so I'd be like, "What are you looking for?" I'm not saying you need to add me next time, but what should I be working on? And so she talked about, the podcast is great. We look for unique ways people work with the community. So I think for anybody who wants that extended thing, I don't work for them. I don't know everything to look for, but the extended pass, just getting to 1,000 followers, is the more you're involved with the community, the more you're part of the huger family, the more chance I think you would have for anybody who wants to be part of the team, because I think they really do look for people who are just as big a part of the community as they are.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we felt that even at PAX, and I think that's definitely something that applies to definitely not everybody, because some companies are just like, yeah, here, cool, be an affiliate. Here's your code for 10% off for your community. Have a great day. And, we had the opportunity to meet a couple of people at PAX that they're just like, we want unique, we want different, obviously we want people who, have some sort of influence, but, we want somebody who's going to make content in a different way. And we found that, all the people we talked to throughout the weekend, those were definitely the more meaningful opportunities for us. We don't just want an affiliate code. Like we really want to partner. How do we develop your community and our community? And I think that, from my experience, especially after this weekend, the more meaningful opportunities are the businesses and the companies and the teams that want something different. They don't just want somebody that has 1 million viewers and cool, you can peddle anything, you have a big viewer base. Like I found the more meaningful opportunities are those that really want to dig in and not just skim the top numbers and say, hey, here's your, affiliate code, go ahead,
Yeah. Speaking, I can speak to that. So for anybody who doesn't know, my previous job before I started streaming, I worked in reputation management and brand development for tech companies. Most of them I still have NDAs with, I can't mention them, but I was brought on to help figure out customer sentiment and stuff, and then would work with people, meet people at conventions and things like that. And it is those companies you want to work with, the companies that have people like me, not specifically like me, but put people in those roles, because they're like, we need to find people who fit with our brand, who make, like you said, unique content, interesting content that fits with our brand, so we can grow together, versus the ones who are just like, who's the biggest person we can get. Because half the time what those legacy kind of companies still look for is like, how many followers do you have on Twitch, which is not the actual metric of how many people you reach. And then you also mentioned affiliate deals. I think affiliate deals are great, but at the end of the day, for me, an affiliate deal is if it's a product that I like a lot, that I'm going to sit here and shill on, not really shill, but I say shill on stream anyway. I'm going to talk about a Noble chair all day long. I have no affiliate partnership with a Noble. Yeah. But if I had a chance to, I'd affiliate with Noble, because I'm already basically selling their chair, right? So I think affiliate codes are great for things you're already hyped about to offer to your community. But yeah, like you said, the things you're really looking for, those meaningful partnerships. Yep. So that's really great. I mean, it's amazing to hear, partner stream team, finding your voice. We talked a little bit, last time, because it is about, starting to stream as a couple. So what I want to hear about now, because I'm big on goals, because I feel, as Reishi would say, community, not competition. I feel like Twitch is competitive because you should be self-competitive. So you set a goal for yourself, and whether you reach the goal or fall short of the goal, I always go, okay, I wasn't very successful this time around because I fell really short of the goal, or I was pretty successful because I almost got to my goal, or whoa, I was super successful because I overshot it. So I'm curious, now that every goal that was kind of on the early checklist is done, have you kind of had that conversation, those thoughts about the next steps? Are you kind of still like, this is all really new, and you're just kind of like continuing what you're doing and haven't really put a lot of thought yet into like what the next like long-term goal is?
So our next long-term goal, the one that we had preset kind of like at the beginning of the year, was, yes, the partner was on there. Again, that was more of our like pseudo like pipe dream. And then there was stream team on there. Additionally to that, like we'd set ourselves like 3 or 4 goals that were like, hey, let's figure this out. One of them being, and what we're still going to be working on, is getting that 3,000 follower mark. while we're not just sitting there being like, oh, we got to get 3,000 and then, boom, hit the goal. It's like, playing the game just to hit end game, and then you're going to get bored, right? Because you've got to that, top tier. What are you going to do afterwards? So 3,000 is definitely, as far as Twitch is concerned, but one of the things we also want to start doing is kind of reviving and growing and expanding where our community reach is. So we're kind of looking towards YouTube and getting some more like videos out there and some tutorials out there, potentially working on a website, that fits our brand and kind of like what we do and in our own very unique way. So that's kind of where our goals are kind of like geared towards now. As far as like more long-term bigger goals, again, we're going to keep obviously doing the streaming thing. We're going to keep, growing through there and how we do it. I said we've got all our guilds on all platforms, all regions. We've got, all of that spread out. So now we want to basically have a nice forum, grow our Discord. We're looking at Discord partner. We're looking at, getting those 3,000 followers on Twitch. We're looking at rebuilding our YouTube and getting more content, more community-oriented content, to be specific, out on like YouTube. While we stream ESO, what our focus is for things like YouTube are going to be more like demoing. I have a series for that I'm working on where we basically demo games that our community would like that isn't ESO, because my belief on is that if you play any game 24/7, 7 days a week, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to like the game. So it's nice to take a break and take a step back. Like I said, we were at PAX. We saw a lot of really awesome, tabletop games, other, Jackbox style games that I feel would lend themselves to our community in a very positive manner. And we want to start highlighting and showcasing these in a short series on YouTube so people can see it's like, hey, you can keep us on in the background, still listen to us, still enjoy it, still be involved. But now you can play a tabletop game. You can, with some, family members, significant others, what have you. Hey, there's this other game you can play. Hey, we can run it via Discord. We can do like Jackbox style. And it's just a way for people to be connected within the community and not feel like they have to, it's like, oh, hey, you have to be on PCNA because that's what we're doing tonight. Hey, we're running an event. You have to be on Xbox. As long as you can get into XYZ, Discord or something like that, you can play and you can be involved. And hey, there's some awesome stuff out there.
Yeah, that's really great, because that actually something I've looked at a lot as well, and I think a lot of content creators do, but it really hits the nail on the head. Sometimes people will branch into other games within Twitch. Some people, and I knew the answer to this question before I asked it, but it was such a good answer, I wanted to hear it again. I heard it last night on your stream, so I definitely had it in mind. That I was like, no, that would be good on the podcast. We're gonna get to that because I want to hear about what I was calling the Foxden universe, like the more extended universe about what you're both about. And I think that's a great way to do it, because if you want your main focus on Twitch to be ESO, but again, there's that risk of burning out if it's all you do, using YouTube, using Discord, growing your platforms, which also creates a bigger and bigger safety net, because if you only do Twitch and you only do ESO, and I don't think ESO is going anywhere or Twitch is going anywhere or anything like that, but God forbid something did happen, then having those other things means your community is still there in those other areas, and that you're not living and dying with just like the one thing. At least that's how I felt.
I think it was Ninja614, which most of us know and love, who was talking about it on his stream one night, and he was just like, God forbid something happen. He's just like, have a backup, especially if this is something you want to do, full time, if this is your career, whatever it may be. He's like, you have to be realistic. You have to be realistic and have a backup, grow your community somewhere else as well. Because Twitch has its days. we all know that. And, so I think it was really, really great advice to, definitely, like I said, dip your toes into a few different lakes, because you don't know what's going to happen. We all know that, content creation is very volatile. You know, one small thing can change the course of you know, of content creation. And you know, you want to diversify a little bit. And I thought that was really, really great advice from Ninja. And you know, we also, you know, there were a couple people who came to us and they're just like, oh, well, now that you're a partner in Stream Team, now you're going to go variety. And we're like, whoa, 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 no, that's not something we want to do. And, you know, like I said, there's nothing wrong with people that want to do that. Like there are some people who that's exciting for them and that's the content they want to put out, and that's awesome. So, you know, something we wanted to do is with Twitch, we want to keep doing ESO. You know, that will be our the game we stream, and that's what we're going to do. And you know, for that variety aspect, again, like Nine said, to bring that little bit of spice in, that, you know, I'm burnt out on ESO, I need something else. That's what we're going to use our YouTube for. While we're going to have some ESO content over there, because one of the biggest things our, you know, community's always asking is just like, you have all this information, like why is it not written down? Why is it not on a website? Why is it not in a guide? You know, I need it somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's something we definitely want to do. But like I said, we do want to do a little bit of that variety, because even for us, the burnout is real for us on some days. So to be able to, you know, make a video about this really cool tabletop game we found. And so we're going to keep that to the YouTube side. We're, you know, not planning on bringing any other games into, you know, our Twitch stream, but you know, we'll definitely bring that into the YouTube and have some variety there, because again, people can shuffle through those videos all they want. You know, we're obviously not going to be live over there. So there's in my mind, no stress to have, you know, multiple facets over there, and people can continue to come to our stream and see ESO and, you know, get their ESO giveaways and, you know, talk ESO as much as they want for Twitch. So.
Yeah. And what you said there is something I think is really important. Maybe I'm just reading a little bit of subtext into it, but is you have to do what you feel is best for you. And that's something we talked about a lot with Ms. Radcore, is doing what is best for you as a creator, because numbers and analytics are one thing and community is one thing, but there is this creative slider, and however you can scratch that, if you can focus fully on ESO. And there's people who just do one thing within one game, that's all they stream for years, and they're super successful. And that's what they love, and that's all the content they make on all platforms. But I want to speak a little bit to the community thing there, because I think, and I don't have any dispersion. I understand people like to watch what they like. They like to watch the people they like to watch. So when people branch into other things, you know, they might feel a little betrayed, or, you know, they might not really know how to grapple with the emotion. Like, I'm super appreciative of the people who only watch me do ESO. They're no better, no worse than the people who watch me do everything. But I do get that, because I hit burnout without knowing it until I did a little Lost Ark, did Elden Ring, and I went down to ESO once a week for about 4 or 5 weeks, because the minute I did other games, I had all these creative ideas for ESO, but it dawned on me that I was accidentally punching a time card to do my ESO content, and I wasn't being creatively fulfilled. And like, you're finding that from, like you said, bringing those board games to YouTube and building websites and stuff. So I think it's important to do what's best for you, but also like, you want to do what's best for your community, but if you focus too much and let them fully guide your content, then you risk burning out. And that's so much worse, because if you're streaming burnt out, much like we said with anxiety and things, that comes through. People can tell you don't really want to be there. Yeah,
I think one of my favorite sayings is you can't pour from an empty cup. And, you know, if you're not fulfilled, and, you know, if your well runs dry, you're not going to be able to put out quality content. So I think, you know, that's the perfect way to look at it is, you know, while again, people may feel a little hurt, like, I think one of the, you know, the great things, the ESO fam, we know it's one of the best communities around, hands down. And, you know, you may have people that won't understand, but I feel like the majority of them will be like, oh, okay, that's a bummer. But, you know, when you say, hey, I need it for my sake, because, you know, I want to bring better content. I think that's, you know, that a lot of people will end up understanding and be like, all right, you know, I might not necessarily tune in, but like, you know, I'll be here on ESO days and things like that. So I think overall the community is probably, you know, relatively understanding, but you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to do something for yourself too.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Oh, no. Absolutely. I apologize. It's like I tell people all the time on the channel is that, like I said, like Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday are are days we don't stream. So we don't stream, which means that we're generally, unless there's like an event going on, we log into ESO for the daily rewards. But I openly admit, it's like I'll play Lost Ark, I'll play Destiny, I'll play another game on those days if I really want to play something. But even on those days, we'll pop off. You know, we won't be on ESO. We'll be in Discord and be around and be available. But we'll spend time together. And like I said, we'll get away from and detach ourselves a little bit. And I think having that time frame built in, if you will, almost scheduled in to do something else, is definitely something that I think everyone should do for themselves. And to, again, keep that love of the game. And I said, especially like I said, ESO does run events back to back to back.
Oh yeah,
it's
they
like
do.
you're gonna get burnt out. And like I said, a back to back event just ended. How many people are basically like not logging in like every day right now? It's like not that they don't want to, but it's like you need a second to recoup.
Yeah, exactly. You need a second to recoup. And I think scheduling it in is important. I've done the same. I have Discord down hours. I took Discord off of my phone, which I only put it back on if I'm going to actually be leaving my house, so that when I'm away from my PC, I don't. So I'm like MrsNineTales. I wake up in the morning, I'm like emails, Discord, YouTube analytics, Twitch analytics. I am just data. Yeah. So I had to like be like. And I still get to Discord every day, but it's just like I had to create for myself, like, this is my Discord, you know, message is gonna wait, no one's gonna be mad at me if I don't get back to him today. I need to just to breathe, like you said, do other stuff, find that work life balance, because you know, I believe you still work a full-time job, right, MrsNineTales?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
And then Ninetail Fox is stay-at-home father, you have a kid, and while you might stream together, there's things that you want to do as a couple and as a family that you have to like make sure you have that time for, because streaming is very fun, being part of the community is very fun, but yeah, if you're not, like you said, you can't pour from an empty cup, and if you don't schedule those times, you risk like losing out on some of that you know, time away.
All right, yeah, I'll correlate it. Oops, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we had the opportunity to go to a panel on imposter syndrome and anxiety, which anybody who streams knows those are two very real things. And BlizzBear was one of the speakers, and they were amazing and loved hearing them speak. And I know, I love the energy.
But yeah, no, I love him. His content.
So much energy. I love it. And they were saying that they have scheduled time to not be online because the amount of anxiety and stress that comes with streaming, like, I know we all put on a face. Let's be honest. We come to entertain, and while we'll be real, we're also gonna come in with energy, and we're gonna hang out, and we're gonna entertain, because that's what streamers are here for. And so there is so much anxiety and stress that comes behind the scenes. So one of the things that they said, it was great advice, and it was again that validation for me, because I always feel guilty. I'm like, if I'm not like responding to things quickly or right away, I feel so like, stressed out. And I'm like, people are going to hate me because I'm not responding. It took me like 2 days to get back to them, and, all of this. But, coming from, someone like BlizzBear, incredibly successful streamer, and, just an absolute icon, is even like, oh no, like, there are days that I'm off. I have days off, just like I work Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sundays are my day off, and everybody should have that. So, take the time, schedule the time off, and we have to be better about that. To be honest, we haven't been the greatest when it comes to like scheduling the time off and being away from the computer. And BlizzBear's thing was like offline. Don't be necessarily playing another game. Get away from the computer, go outside, touch grass kind of situation. And I thought it was great. And like I said, it was that validation that I needed to hear from, again, a Twitch icon, so to say. So it was nice to hear that, and make me feel like, oh yeah, it's okay to take that day off. It's okay to not turn the monitors on that day, and to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. said I spent 13 years in the military, and the amount of family events that I have missed, the birthday parties, not even just my own, but like birthday parties, my cousin's children weddings, my second cousins being born, and spending time with like family at family events for one reason or another and this is not even like deployments, this is just me being back here in the States and like, oh hey, we have training this day, is unreal. And you learn to appreciate, again, having those days like, hey guys, hey everyone, my kid has a birthday coming up. While we're gonna celebrate in our own, in the Fox Den manner with y'all, we're taking this day off to spend it with our kid. Like, we're like, this is what we're doing. And I learned to appreciate being like, while I want to stream and I want to spend time, I'm at home all day. COVID is still kind of a thing, while things are opening up more. I don't want to miss really anything in my life anymore if I don't have to. And so I said, I feel like that's super important. And I think a lot of people, even if you're just a viewer, to just kind of realize, oh, I got to watch my favorite streamer. Cool. You're driving somewhere, you're driving to the park, you really want to listen to them. Like you said, throw them in your ear and you can listen to them while you walk around, but don't miss out on those life moments. Yep. Don't miss out on life moments.
Yeah. Don't miss out on life moments. And yeah, that's what I always say to people, because people will come and go from the community, and there's people who stop back in. They'll be like, hey, I know it's been like 6 months. Sorry, I haven't been around. I always say, hey, don't need to apologize for not being around. The fact that when you can be around, you're here, that's awesome. And that's, I remember you, and it's great to see you. I remember everyone. But yeah, if somebody needs to take 6 months, and things like that, it's important, like you said, as a viewer, it's important for us as streamers, because we can pour our life and our souls, and a lot of people do, and you kind of have to pour a lot of excess time and energy into this to grow, to maintain, and things like that. But eventually, like you can't pour from an empty cup, and if you keep trying, you can. I like that term, but I'll probably end up stealing that one, like I do with every other great catchphrase out there. I literally got my how to tell people to follow by tweaking what what y'all say, but no, but I was trying to say there is, yeah, it's better to be, if you want to stream for a long time, maintain and grow your community and things for a long time. That's the other part of it, because yeah, you can pour all that extra energy, you can miss those birthdays, you can miss those parties, and focus on this, and maybe you'll grow faster. But eventually you don't want to get to a point where you resent this. Like, it should be creative, it should be fun, it should be engaging. Yes, it can be stressful, yes, it can be heartbreaking, yes, there can be a lot of bad sides to it, but you don't ever want it to be like, it's just like, you don't want to ever not click the going live button because you just sit down and go, I just don't want to do this. It's better to schedule that time so you never get to that point.
Yep, 100%.
That's amazing. I love hearing from both of your takes on things. Like you said, I think that's what makes you such a streaming power couple, because you do have different focuses. We talked about it last time with MrsNineTales, more analytical focus. You have very different temperaments and stuff. It makes you great husband and wife, in addition to a great like pair of streaming. So it's always good to hear like the ebb and flow, just like it is on your streams, of like your takes on things. Kind of speaking to the things about creating YouTubes and communities, we talked a lot about those goals and things. I think all that's really amazing. I do want to talk about one more thing, because you brought up imposter syndrome, and we brought up some of those things. And one of those things is because you just do ESO, and I primarily do ESO. Obviously, when people burn out on events and numbers go down, there's that city growth, but numbers go up and they go down. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I talk to a lot of people. I talk to people much bigger than me, people who are just starting out, all different sizes, who their numbers will go up and up and up. And then when they plateau, they'll feel okay because it's plateaued. But then a dip happens, a dip you can't control, because everybody's numbers dipped in February because people weren't even watching ESO, because they were like, Horizon, Elden Ring, Lost Ark. We had such a drought of new games that people were just more invested in playing those games. I'm just curious, when the numbers go down, even though it's not a lot, how you kind of like remind yourselves, like, things go up and down and they plateau. Because I think a lot of people, you get used to being at a certain number, and then when it goes down, at least for me, the initial response that I have to like talk to myself through, remind myself, is there's a lot of reasons this goes down. Not, oh, I followed off, I suddenly am the worst.
Yeah.
So we So obviously we had our big we hit partner, right? We hit partner, cool, awesome. There was the big celebration, there's all those big numbers ahead of time, kind of like our unofficial push to get there. And the hype didn't really die down because shortly after we made partner, we made stream team. So the hype kind of stayed up. And then, like you said, like end of February, March, all these other games started coming out. In addition to that, is things started opening back up again. And a number of nights we'd sit there and be like, wow, we had a really rough night.
Yep.
And we would sit there. And like I said, one of the beautiful things I like to say we do it so well together is that if one of us is hyper fixated on one thing, the other is able to talk them off a ledge type of thing. And like I said, we're able to one of us is always able to remain calm, and we can kind of play off each other that way. But the realization that, hey, there are a number of factors that are playing into this, where it's like things are opening back up. There aren't even that many people on Twitch, or like this isn't an us thing. And like I said, sometimes it's tough to get around. It's like, oh wow, I was doing so well, and like you said, my numbers just tanked, or what you feel like your numbers just tanked. And what it actually is like you said, there's a number of other games that people are watching. Let's call a spade a spade. ESO had a really rough update 33 launch, and like I said, there were a number of things. So a lot of people stopped watching ESO streamers.
They also did more events than they'd ever done before. So after New Life, I think people hit a bigger level of burnout than usual.
Yep. And I said there was just like perfect storm. There's so many factors to coming into it that, if you look at it from a large, from the grand scheme of things, everyone's numbers were down. And I think not only looking at yourself, the royal you, but looking at like everyone's numbers as a whole makes it a lot easier to be like, hey, okay, let's take a step back. It's not just us. Everyone's numbers are down, and there's a number of reasons behind it. So that definitely helped in that transition, because again, like I said, going from partner to stream team to all of a sudden now having like these super high numbers, to being like, if you almost like crashing and burning, like, okay, everyone's on like, everyone's off our train and they're at the next station.
Yeah. It's
yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say, I think one of the things that also keeps us going, aside from sometimes just having to talk to each other, and one of the things we often bring up is, sometimes you can get a little lost in the numbers. You can get a little lost in that, oh, I'm not doing so hot. But I think one of my favorite things to remind ourselves here is, if you have, 500 people or 5 people, if you're at 5, for whatever reason, those are 5 human beings. Those are 5 human beings that are taking time out of their day, out of their life. They're not doing something else to be there with you, and they are just as important as the 500 people. And I think sometimes just putting that back in perspective and saying, the fact that five other human beings on this planet Earth said, this is where I want to spend my time tonight, and this is where I want to support, and this is where I want to be, is so incredibly meaningful. And I know it can feel like a total, gut punch to, like, like I said, we've had some rough nights lately, especially, again, everything's opening up, the good weather's coming, especially here in the Northeast. So, we see it, and people are out and about, and, so they're going out, they're touching that grass, they're getting away from their computers that they just spent the last 2 years on. But it's trying to remind yourself sometimes that those 5 human beings are still coming out to support you, and they are there for you. And getting too hyper fixated on your metrics being down, it's almost a little insulting in a way to those 5 people, because it's like, well, we still matter too. Not that they're saying this, but like, in that regard. So that's something that also keeps us going sometimes, is because, again, on those nights where it's like, oh, okay, we're sitting at like 50, those are 50 people that are coming out and hanging out with us, and that matters, and that means the world to us. So sometimes a little reminder.
Yeah, I think those reminders are super important. And that's what I did when I kind of branched into other games, not just have down nights in ESO, but because I've been trying other games, is, okay, I had 120 the day before, I had 110 the day before that, 105 before that, 120. Like, above 100, above 100, above 100, and then I do another game and I have 50 people there watching me play Elden Ring, which is super saturated. Everybody's doing it. There's no growth there. So anybody who's watching me play Elden Ring is generally going to be an established viewer. But yeah, that was the same mentality I went into it with this. This is 50 people. That's a huge percentage of people who are watching me do something else versus like, oh my gosh, the numbers are down. But like you said, you got partner and then you got stream team. So it was a little delay, but I talked to 8BitD, who is a retro streamer I had on the podcast, and she referred to it as the post-partner plunge, which is everybody gets really hyped, and there is X amount of people who are still part of the community, and they still come through the stream, but the closer, especially in the ESO community, the closer somebody gets to a huge milestone, the more people are in, so the numbers kind of do a little dip there. So yeah, I just want to talk about that because I think people see their numbers go down. Yeah, people are going back to work. And maybe not be able to watch stream from work because they can't work from home. Things are opening up. They can touch that grass. They can play other games. So yeah, there's so many other factors. I think it's good to bring that up so anybody listening knows, like, your numbers will always fluctuate. They're always going to go up and down and plateau. And what's important is if you're building a community and building content, a lot of those people will be there. And even if things go down, they can just as easily go back up, because I had a really rough January, February, March. I had COVID, I had the flu, I had no schedule, I was all over the place, and it kind of felt for a bit like, oh gosh. But then, yeah, as soon as things got back, things started kind of coming back up and things. So I think that is, again, a testament to the community and the power of the community to, and even being sick is different, but it still ties into what you said about giving time for yourself. Is it's easy to go, I need to stream all these hours, all this time. If I stop for even a minute, it's the imposter syndrome. If I stop for even a minute, it's over. They're going to realize I shouldn't be here. I'm going to get kicked out the club. But that's, it's not true. And I think a lot of what you both said is no one's kicking you out of the club if you breathe or take care of your mental health or just want to go, hey, I need to go hiking today,
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, as we kind of transition here towards the end of the podcast, I really appreciate you taking time to talk about all these amazing things, these milestones, your future goals, your community, and things like that. A couple of things I want to talk about, kind of like as we wind down, couple rapid fire questions. But before the rapid fire question, I'm just curious because there was a community goal. You did a cooking stream. That's obviously way outside the wheelhouse of sitting down and playing a game. Use that I have it too, that Elder Scrolls cookbook. I'm just curious, what was your experience? Because doing like a food and beverage and IRL cooking stream is so much different than doing games. As somebody who started and does IRL stuff here and there, I'm curious what that was like doing that for the first time.
It was so much fun.
It was fun, and from a technical standpoint, like I said, I look at my desktop and I'm like, oh right, that's why I have that. It's because you need different plugins, you need different aspects of it. But it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was a nice way to get our community kind of like, because we used the ESO cookbook, but it was a nice way to like still be ESO and kind of do something fun. Like we were making things, like one of the things we made was skooma. I still have some upstairs. It's delicious, by the way, if you've never had any. And it's like we are making all these things, we're trying them, and it's a way for like the community kind of see us. Like you see us from like here up. If you don't, for anyone who can't see, we're twinning right now with our shirts.
Totally on accident.
Yeah, right. But it's like you only see us from like the waist up usually, and now you get to see us like walking around, and I think it's super cool. I think doing IRL things are super fun because of how we have our setups. Again, we have our here, like I'm literally, I can reach back and like touch touch my back wall because I'm not that far from it. It's now you get to see like a different aspect of our home, and you actually get to like welcome into our home and get to see things. And I think that's super cool. It's a comfort thing. I definitely find that doing anything IRL is definitely a comfort thing. You have to be comfortable with your community to want to show them and want to open up that much with them, to them, for them. And like I said, it was just super fun. Plus, I spend a lot of time in the kitchen anyway, for one reason or another. I said I do a lot of the cooking in the household, so it was nice to be there and be like, hey, cool, I don't have to make dinner tonight, really, because I know we're going to be making dinner later tonight. So it was definitely super fun in that respects.
Yeah, and I think you said something there, and you said you have to be comfortable to do it, but I also think there's an element that's, I find, at least as a creator, doing something outside different from my comfort zone ends up adding a spice. Like even if it's something you're not going to do all the time, just doing something completely different, just taking a few hours to add in the cooking stream and things like that. I feel like as a creator, it really can, you know, it's uncomfortable, but it gets you, if you've, as you've been streaming for a long time, the anxiety doesn't fully go away, but there's a certain part of your brain that gets used to it and goes, okay, I have a certain level of comfort with that. And I feel like as creators, we kind of strive a little bit with danger. And so having some of those butterflies back, I find really kind of inspires me. Did you kind of feel the same way after doing that stream where getting outside the comfort zone kind of like gave you a little of that like anxious energy in a good way back, at least? Because obviously there's anxiety, but there's also what I consider kind of a good anxious energy where it's more of an anticipation than an anxiety, I guess.
It definitely did. It definitely did. Like I said, it was different. It was something that we don't normally do. I mean, now you're seeing that we have legs and feet, and you know, it's definitely from that respects, you know, like, hey, now you get to see us. And I think one of my favorite aspects about it is that while on stream, yes, we had, you know, the missus and I have this energy together, and it was something that you could see like we're a little bit more uncaged, and it was a chance for people to kind of see that how this is how we are outside of this. This is how we, you know, move around in an atmosphere in a space together, and actually this is how we actually are. And I thought that was like, you know, people are going to see like this is how we actually are. We're not even joking about this. So
yeah, it allows you to get very personal. Like you wouldn't think that something like this would, you know, would be such a personal thing, but it you know, we had some, you know, more mature comments about my tush and, you know, things like that, and like, you know, these crazy conversations, and you know, like it was like I said, very, very personal. We had, again, a lot of fun, a lot of banter, and you wouldn't think that, you know, cooking together would be such a personal situation, but it really did. And I think, you know, it opened us up a little bit more to our community, that it's just like, oh God, like I'm over here worried, like the sound is terrible, they're gonna hear me stomping around on my floor, like, you know, it's bouncing off my empty kitchen walls, like it's not an acoustic space whatsoever, like all of these things I'm freaking out over. And you know, people were just more interested in the, you know, the pants I was wearing, and, you know, the banter Nine and I had about, you know, messing up each other's stuff, and, you know, this one's spilling this and that one's spilling that. And like I said, it was actually a very like intimate like experience, which I thought was really cool, and I never thought that would come from cooking. So it, you know, took a little bit of that anxiety away of, you know, oh my God, people are gonna be judging me on my sound quality, you know, to open ourselves up a little more to the community and be like, hey, look, it's another room in my home, welcome, you know.
And I think the other thing for me as a viewer, you stream together, but the missus in the left corner, NineTales in the right corner. You have your carefully curated spaces, versus being, like you said, in a space together at the same time, which is also completely, obviously shows off a different dynamic. So I was curious about that when people finally make those decisions to branch and do something unique, about how that experience went, and that's really cool to hear about. So before we wrap up and do some rapid fires, I did want to just ask one more kind of question. Obviously, we could talk about PAX for a long time, so we're not going to get into the deep depths of PAX. You already kind of mentioned, you know, hearing from BlizzBear, hearing from, you know, these various things at PAX. Could you each give like one big takeaway or a second takeaway, since you already kind of touched on a couple of them that you got from PAX, whether it was just being at PAX or hearing from somebody, or just something like something that you brought home from PAX that you're really kind of excited to bring to streaming and content creation?
Yeah, so I think the big takeaway for me was you're not alone. For all of the streamers out there, small streamers, big streamers, whatever it is you're stressing over, whatever it is that's going wrong, or what you perceive is going wrong, or, you know, the situation you're in, you are not alone. There are probably hundreds of other streamers out there going through the same, you know, anxiety you are and stressing over the same things you are. And I think that we forget that. And a lot of, what was talked about through the weekend, and, a lot of the people we got the chance to talk to, other content creators, is you're not alone. Don't, in a good way, don't think your situation is unique and you're going through something alone, because you're not. So, reach out to other streamers, talk to other people, because you'd be surprised who's going through the same stuff you are, that maybe has a different way of viewing it, or who has a creative solution, or may be able to help, because I guarantee we've probably all been there or are currently there. So again, for those of you that thinking of streaming, that do stream, no matter what your size is, you are not alone.
Oh God, my answer is definitely nowhere near as articulate as that. Wow, yeah, that summed up the greater majority of it. But I said it's kind of like piggybacking what the missus said, is like, so we got to spend, obviously, for anyone who followed us on Twitter or anything like that, we got to spend a lot of time with like the ESO fam, and so I said, since that everything's opening back up again, it's very humanizing to see people. Like I said, we saw Nephis, we hung out with Man Cave, we hung out with Nelly and Lotus, and like a lot of times, like, you watch them as streamers, and yeah, you're chatting with them, but again, a lot of us don't have like open discords, via stream all the time. And even if you do, it's very different to actually like spend time with them, and it's very humanizing. So like even these bigger streamers, even like Blizzbear or Rainbow Lightbright, like I said, I know that she did an awesome panel as well, is you get to like sit down and you realize that they're not like untouchable, and they're not super scary, and like I said, they're just regular people who are just like out there on the same grind that you are as a streamer, or they're the same person who likes watching all these other streamers as if you're a viewer, just like you. And it's just super awesome to see them and just like see what they get excited. It's like they're just super excited, they nerd out, and it's not that they're necessarily different from their stream, but like we were talking about before, is we're partially entertainers when we're streaming, and this is kind of like you get to let loose a little bit, and it's just super fun and super awesome to be able to see people in that atmosphere.
Awesome. Yeah, and I completely agree, because I was able to meet up with other streamers when I went to PAX West at the end of last year, and it's a very, like you said, humanizing experience, and it's just also a very great experience. And I think what you both mentioned is also really important. When people say networking, that's really what networking ultimately is. When it's peer-to-peer networking, it's making friends, getting to know people, finding content creators that you can vibe with, so that you can ask questions about things, or they can ask questions of you without any super expectations. And I think for anybody who gets told, what should I do as a streamer? Oh, you should network. Peer-to-peer networking is exactly what MrsNineTales and Ninetale Fox described, which is talking with other people in the communities that you're a part of, getting to know new people, and being able to like open up and have, shared discourse. That's more important than any other part of it. So for anybody who's ever curious about networking, that's the heart of peer-to-peer networking, is basically making friends and connections on a meaningful level with other people who you share, the space with. So yeah, that's really awesome. That's amazing stuff. Thank you for sharing all of that, your takeaways, your thoughts, your growth, and things like that. So before we move on, can you go ahead and shout out where people can find you on like Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and all those things you might have coming up, passion projects, anything you want to kind of shout out here at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I believe !guest will show them right to our Twitch channel. And then on Twitter, again, I am the same Ninetale Fox, and she is the MrsNineTales.
On Twitter, you're Ninetale Fox TTV.
TTV, yes, there. See,
you always forget the TTV.
I always forget that. And like I said, you can come check us out. I know we do giveaways on both our Twitters when we do Twitter giveaways. So you can check that out. Again, we're always putting out some fun stuff. Again, doing something. And as for YouTube, again, we're revitalizing it. I believe that is also Ninetale Fox TTV. Again, I know we did a little fun just chatting stream with all the other streamers that we ran into on Friday. So as I'm getting choked up again, dying, I apologize. but that's up on YouTube. And like I said, we're going to be doing that short series of like demoing some other games that we think the community may like, and kind of like going over them and kind of where they can find them as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for anybody who is listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or watching this later on YouTube, you'll be able to find links to all of the socials, Twitch channels, and things like that in the descriptions. So thank you very much. I appreciate both of you being on the podcast. We are going to move into Q&A. For anybody who's listening to this on Spotify, places like that, the Q&As get released as separate bonus content episodes. Make sure you tune in Tuesdays live if you want to, ask questions and hear those live, but we'll release that as a separate episode. So we're going to wrap up the main interview portion of the podcast. We're going to move into the Q&A section. But before we do that, I just want to say thanks both again to Ninetale Fox and MrsNineTales. It's a pleasure to have you both on. It's also a pleasure how much, again, you both really opened up. There's a lot of information there. There's a lot of things that you were able to articulate and share, and I appreciate both of you being able to take the time with us today to do that.
No, thank you very much for having
pleasure.
us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.